My name is Luckson Mathieu. I am a physician, a thoracic oncologist here at the FDA. I primarily work in the division of oncology 2. And what I do here is I primarily review applications, investigation of new drugs, applications, and determine whether or not it's safe or efficacious in regards to that drug product being made available or approved to the general public. One of the things that's associated with clinical trial is a lot of belief and myths about clinical trials, and that it's to be seen at times as something very negative. Remember, let's keep it very simple. Clinical trial is an attempt to answer a question, a scientific question. Is this drug product safe? Is this efficacious? And so when we look at clinical trials, it's very important to step back and look at first the question. When we look at the question here at the FDA, typically most of the time, if not all the time, the question is legitimate. The question is not so much, is there an issue with the question? The question is the execution of the clinical trial. And our job is to primarily answer whether or not the stated objectives of the clinical trial will be met in the way that it's designed. So the clinical trial today in 2021 is not the same clinical trials that were probably here 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. The level of scrutiny, the level of review that's involved is much more involved, and it involves multiple parties. That in itself, in addition to the trials that are being offered, are different. And so a lot of people will actually may think that clinical trial is a bad thing. I'm on a different opinion. I believe clinical trial answer questions. And it doesn't mean that it will be the solution to whether or not we will be able to find a therapeutic that works for this cancer or that cancer. But the only way we will get there is by taking one step at a time, answering one question at a time. I always felt that I would end up in the sciences and some form of fashion at an early age because I was fascinated by it. And my mom had something to do with this in regards to me becoming a physician. She always said that I would one day become one, and I actually believed her. And so when you put those two together, the passion of helping people out and the interest in science, it kind of naturally led me to where I'm at right now. To be honest with you, I never planned on being here at the FDA. It's sort of kind of worked out that way. And looking back, it's probably one of the best moves I've made. A patient is more than their diagnosis. A patient was a human being and continues to be a human being outside of their diagnosis. When you really think about it, all of us are vulnerable any day to be found and to be given a diagnosis. We are not limited to our diagnosis. We are bigger than our diagnosis. And I strongly believe if we take a view that viewing patients for who they are, in addition to their diagnosis, their social history, their background, what motivates them, what are their priorities. It has to be a comprehensive view when we're thinking about patients. The patient is coming in to the doctor or to a facility, to a hospital, never have had probably that diagnosis. This is new to them. But what they did have was their life before this diagnosis. We cannot cut off that life and just pick up the diagnosis wherever we are in the health continuum, in the healthcare continuum of that patient. We need to take that life before that diagnosis and incorporate it in the treatment, in the care of the patient. If we always keep in the back of our mind and also in the front of our mind, the patient, the individual, not just the disease that they've been diagnosed, the patient himself, I think it will lead us and steer us in the right direction. Time and time again, trials that have shown to have effective drugs all started on a clinical trial. And so while not every clinical trial will bring forth, treatment or efficacy, it surely will not if you do not participate, and there's limited options through just therapeutics. So I would say to patient advocates to ask the question, is there a clinical trial available?